Welcome to Where Conversation Grows, the podcast that nobody wanted and something that we're just doing for ourselves. And if you're happen to find this video and are watching, it's just a conversation between me and my wife, Lauren, and we're just going to talk about normal things that everyone's going through.
Yes. We decided to make this so that we can kind of put out there behind the scenes or real relationship dynamics so that we're not constantly comparing ourselves to what's being displayed out there on social media. And it also is like a accountability for us to continue to grow as individuals.
And it just so happens that we met 11 years today in college, and I don't think we ever thought we'd be at this point in our lives. And recently, I have been, changing my thinking about a lot of different things, and I found it really positive for us. And it's something I think I wanted to share with everyone, and it's something that Lauren has done throughout her career as a counselor. And I'm starting to see the benefit just in life to change my thinking around everything happening.
And I think there's things that you have had thought-wise that I didn't know could exist and be like a different type of perspective on handling things. And it just allows me to grow and see that there's not only like one side just because of my experience growing up or what I observed or was taught.
And I think that's the big thing, right? Is that when you get married, you're joining someone else and they have a different perspective on life and you have a perspective on life. And then you get together and you just smash those two worlds together. And then that's what they call marriage. And it's not what you see on TV or Instagram. It's definitely way harder.
Mm-hmm. It can be for sure.
But I think that's why it's so important that we started doing this, have the conversations and show what real couples go through. There's no like magic moments. There's a lot of like navigation and just chaos. Especially when you got introduced to my family versus your family. It was a big wake-up call. Christmas at casinos and
yes.
Soaps for Christmas.
Yes.
Whereas your house is like 10-foot table with decorations and gifts above the children's heads.
20 presents.
20 presents for every holiday. Easter, Valentine's Day, Labor Day. Doesn't matter. There's presents for everything. But we've managed so far.
We have. And we've gone through moments where it's been really slow and kind of bored, but not in like a bad way bored. Just like being in each other's presence and just like.
So you're saying we're boring?
Sometimes.
Oh no.
But it's not a bad thing to be bored.
I know, but people aren't going to watch this and they think we're boring. What's an example of us being boring?
I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Are you talking about like just sometimes we'll be, I think of boring, you mean like we can just enjoy each other's silence. Like I might be doing something, you're doing something.
Yeah, like just like 5 minutes before I was reading and you were doing some real estate stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we probably should have started with what we do. We just like went into this just okay. Like, hello. But yeah, so I'm a real estate agent and a school teacher, and Lauren's a therapist, and our worlds have collided, and we're just here to have a conversation. And you can comment below. You could be like, this really is terrible. You guys should stop and not make another one. Or you could just ask questions, and then every video, we'll do one like once a week and then just try to add to the conversation.
Once a week? That's a lot. I didn't sign up for once a week.
All right. Well, we're going to do our best to to build a little YouTube channel for just like couples like us, like nothing crazy,
Very average.
It is very average, but not everything's average. And you talked in the car that you wanted to talk about navigating grief, and I know you don't want to bring this up the first one, but we started off slow, but I think it's important, like, we're not just, boring, happy at life. Like, in March, 1 year anniversary of your dad passing, and that's a big deal. And that's not something that people have, on video or see in public. Most of the time you look on Instagram and everyone's on vacation or living the best life. And I think that's why this is important, because you were talking about how you felt like you were struggling with your grief and that it affected our relationship a little bit.
Yes.
I know it's hard to talk about, but
it is, and hard to be vulnerable about it too, because I don't necessarily like talking about it or talking about things, which is funny because, again, I'm a therapist, but it's different being a therapist versus being just myself.
It's also different, like, putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Like, were you making this isn't going to be some Steven Spielberg production. This is literally just trying to have conversations with couples. It's not trying to be viral. It's just to, like, build a community, to show people that there is normal couples out there just struggling with regular day things, or even really traumatic things. Like, your dad passing was a huge thing, was unexpected, and it definitely was very hard, and traumatic for your family.
Yeah. And it has been, and I think from being a therapist and seeing social media posts about, I guess, ways of grief, it outlines of like, okay, this is what you do to move through it, and it doesn't talk about the whole entire picture of like how it, at least from my perspective, that I thought it impacted our relationship. And of course, like, I know that it impacted my mom and my sister, and then how that also impacted those relationships together. And then how I, at one point, wanted my mom to become part of our dynamic. And that was, I think, good. But then it also became a lot and needed to create some space and boundaries with that.
Yeah.
Over time, as things like continue to move further away from the actual day that it happened.
Yeah, and I mean, we just wanted to be there for your mom, but it's definitely like, it's not easy, because like, I gotta be the support system, but I also like have my own things going on, and I don't want to like upset your mom because she's, grieving, her husband's death, which I can't even imagine. But like, I still have to try to navigate our life and do things together. And then your mom's there and she's like, "What's up, guys?" And we're going on vacations, which is awesome, but we want to just be there for her. But I'm also terrible at that stuff, because my whole life has been, this person died, or we're moving tomorrow, or the car's gone, or it's just constantly, this person's getting divorced, this person's gone. So it's just like ups and downs. And so my brain is just like, we gotta go, what's the next thing? All right, we're working on this, and we just keep moving. And it's hard for me to like stop and like just stop. Really, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how to stop. It's easier for me to keep going than to sit and think about it. But I think that's why, like, I wanted to do this podcast, is because I really have started to change my like thinking. And I think it's something everyone should do. It's not some like, be positive and be better and excited. And it's like, well, your dad died, so you're not, it's very difficult to be positive a lot of the times. But when you start to think about your dad, and that's why I bring it up, is like, I know he wouldn't want you just walking around crying all the time and being upset. He would want you to enjoy life, and he would probably yell at you for crying. And so I really do believe in just like changing your thoughts and relating events, even something as sad as death.
Yeah. And no one teaches you how to grieve, you kind of have to go through it and navigate it on your own with your supports, and you can learn about the different stages, which can be helpful to say, oh, this is probably what I'm in, but also I'm going back to a place that I didn't think I was going to. Like, I did think that my grief was restarting because for 3 days I had such a hard time, like, with just crying and doing stuff that was good for me. Or full disclosure, like, I would go meet with my clients like 2 minutes later than I normally would. Like, if I was supposed to meet with them at 12, I'd be like, oh, 12:02 is good.
Yeah, but I mean, that's got to be challenging to battle your own mental health and then have to turn it on for somebody else's, you know? And that's like a very powerful, you have to like really change your thinking in that moment. And to go from one big feeling to professionalism is definitely not easy.
Nope. It is hard at times. So
I think being an adult is definitely the hardest thing ever.
I know, I don't like being an adult sometimes.
I agree, you know, but I think that's the whole point. If everything, like, I love the quote where it's like, if everything in life were green lights, you would never like stop and look at the things that you like really appreciate. And I like that because everybody wants to go and do all the great things, but you need those red lights to be like, oh, I'm appreciating this moment, or I'm appreciating, you know, the people that are with me now because they might not be here next week. And I'm not trying to overemphasize, but like, you know, when my grandma died right after your dad died, it was like I'm at another funeral, and talk about, I don't even know how some of them are still grieving, or even what their process is, because like my uncle, he's lost his child, his wife, his brother, and now his mom, you know, and he's not that old. And then, you know, they all had such a traumatic experience. Their, you know, my dad or their brother being murdered. And, you know, I could see on some of their faces, they're just almost cold, and it's kind of sad because I don't know if they've ever learned to deal with it. And my grandma was like the matriarch. She was like the positive, go-getting person, kind of like your dad, like in a way. Like, you know, when you have that person that's like the light-hearted, kind of connects those people, when you lose that, you can see it's so difficult for people. And it's like, you don't know how, like, what's the next best thing?
Yeah. But I could kind of relate to what you saw with your uncles, because I think I said this, which was probably really good timing, but bad timing for us to a week later go on our honeymoon. But when we were on our honeymoon, I felt myself building walls and not wanting to.
Yeah.
Like, get close to you and like wanting to push you out, which was not the best thing. But I didn't like beat myself up for doing that, because then I was like, oh wait, I know that's not what I actually want. It feels like I need to protect myself because I don't want to feel it again.
And that's hard. And like, I'm not trying to overemphasize, but I've been there where have a revolving door of people. Like, I've had, you know, my mom's had so many boyfriends, and I've had, you know, people that I've called family, and my dad too. My dad, you know, my dad got remarried, and we had a family for years, 10 years. And then all these people, you spend Christmas, you whatever, and then they just disappear, and it doesn't make any sense, you know. And you're like, what is gonna be here tomorrow? And it's like, that's when I started to build that like mentality of, you just can't, like, you don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring, but all you can do is enjoy today. And I guess that does kind of go with the thought process, but I love the whole, you know, gratitude thing, because you always have those moments to go back on and put yourself in the driver's seat and remember. And that helps, at least me lately, drive myself and my thoughts to something positive. Like,
I think it's grounding.
Yeah,
It
it
grounds
is.
you.
Instead of getting caught in the motion, because that's what I do. I just get in the motion. I feel nothing, and then I go, and then I stop, and it's the worst. Like I hate it. Like I'm bored. We got to do something, because I don't want to stop and think about things, because my brain goes all the way back and thinks about different things, and you can't always share certain things because you don't want to bring down the room. As one of my friends would say, it would be like talking about like a family memory. And I'd bring it up, and they'd be like, whoa, that's a downer. Don't talk about that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. That's my Christmas was at the casino. I didn't have that, Or like, we talk about like, things as a kid when you're like, you think like, oh, the power's out. No, the bill wasn't paid. So it's like, and you come to terms with that. And I used to be angry at people that had money, but now I'm not angry at all, because it's not their fault that I had to do that. And, I don't ever have to do that either. That's why I work so many jobs. So I don't ever have to feel that feeling again.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
It does, right?
Yeah. But that's why I think you practicing gratitude helps slow you down and not think about, okay, what's next? Because you said that you're a problem solver, because that's just what you have always had to do. But
well, I hate conflict. I really do. And I don't know if it's a trauma thing, because when you think back to moments in your childhood where you just felt a certain feeling and you don't want to feel that again. Like you just want to move on, and literally you just want to feel anything else. You want to move on past the conflict and just get back to normal. And that's the only way I can describe it. And yeah, I just don't want to be in conflict anymore. I lived a life of conflict, and as an adult, I just unfortunately developed the coping mechanism of speed running life, which is also not good, because sometimes I've, stopped to, for lack of a better term, sit and smell the roses. And I used to think that term was silly. I used to think a lot of this stuff was silly until now I've gotten to an age where I've seen people pass, people really close to me, and you're like, no, you really do need to stop and enjoy, your dog waking you up, or your niece's smile, or, getting to be with family, because you got only so many moments that's going to happen again, and you never know when it's going to stop. You don't have it. You don't know when that red light's going to come. And I think that's why, you just keep moving so fast. You don't want the red lights, but you need them.
Yeah. They definitely need to exist. Because I've heard this before and have talked about it a lot with other individuals, but like you can't have love without loss or love without grief. And I know you like the Winnie the Pooh quote, which I don't remember what it is verbatim.
Oh, I do. It's my favorite. It says, "How lucky am I to have felt this sad," or something like that, "for knowing you." I definitely butchered that. Basically, it's like, how lucky are you to have known someone like you? That's really what it was. And and I don't know what it was, but I remember reading that quote for you, and it really shook me, because it's such a powerful thing from a children's cartoon that I will always remember it, and I send it to people going through grief, because I feel like that's the hardest thing, is you don't know what to do in grief, and sometimes people are so awful when it comes to grief. They're like, "Oh, how are you doing? How you feeling? So sorry." Like, it just doesn't help, I mean, you went through it way worse than they would ask me at work, but it wasn't my dad, it was your dad. And I was just like, "Oh, I'm fine." And they probably thought I was a dick because I didn't really talk about it too much, and I went right back to work. But that's just me in motion, like always. But I mean, I don't know if there's a wrong way to deal with grief or a right way. You're not allowed to say.
drinking a lot.
That's the wrong way.
Numbing yourself that way. Also, you're gonna make Willow fall.
Oh yeah, if you guys didn't notice, we have 3 dachshunds, and you might hear Willow snoring.
But
she's good. She's in the heating blanket.
You keep pushing it.
I know.
She's gonna fall.
I'm sorry, Willow.
You just pushed it more.
All right. But
yeah, but not only talking about our separate experiences of this, like, I think it is important and probably hard at times for you to help me when I'm struggling.
yes, it's very hard for me because I'm like numb. I don't know how to relate to that at all. I don't. And it's, I guess you'd say, a child of trauma, they call it.
Well, yes, but I do think the way that you are supporting me is helping me. And everyone has their different ways of needing support. And I did try a lot this past week to make sure that I could do as much as possible. But sometimes you just need that reassurance that, like, it's okay to be upset and that I don't have to get over it in a year. And I know that as being a therapist, but it's still different when you know something like that versus when you're actually the one in it. And I think our dynamic has changed quite a bit since all of this happened. Like, I do think our dynamic did introduce my mom into it for quite a while. And then we naturally, I naturally had us have a little bit of distance, which I think helped you and I don't know if you agree or what that looked like from your side of it. Maybe you thought that, like, I was just kind of like more directed towards my mom, which I think I was at times. I was more focused on making sure she was okay than seeing how you have been and were doing in the beginning, because as you mentioned, you would just keep moving. So I didn't have to think too much about what you were doing. So I would just focus on me and my mom. And then I think now that more time has shifted away, I think you and I are coming back together, but I don't know if you agree with that.
No, I do. I don't. I feel like I've always just been the person to put things together, keep going, and the person to be like, I'm good, and I can handle it. And for the most part, I do pretty well. Unfortunately, I'm used to being on my own and having to navigate things. But, I mean, there's not much I can do about that. And I feel it's like, I think it's a strong suit of mine. I handle trauma, I handle chaos very well because I was conditioned to it.
Yeah.
But I just, I do it because everybody needs a person to, like, be like, okay, they're okay, I'm okay. Like, especially when you're, like, I always think of it like as you're on a boat that's sinking, and it's always like 90% of people are freaking out, and then those 10% of people are the ones that have to not, because someone's got to get things under control, get everyone back on board, calm, so that we can survive. Because if 100% of people are in an emotional state, you can't do anything. And it's not to say I don't have emotional states. I just think I regulate them different. I recognize the feelings, but then I start to, like, basically deframe, like, like I come away from it and I start just listing the facts. So I might have a thought of, like, oh, I'm very upset about this. But then, like, I naturally, and I only know this now because I've been watching this, I naturally reframe. And I think I'll just start thinking of something that is, like, soothing to me, or, like, I'm upset this, this person passed, but they did this, this, and this, and I'm always going to appreciate that, and I'm lucky to have them. I immediately reach, it's like such a quick process for me. And I don't know if it's because I've been through so many different things in my life, between divorces and deaths and just big milestones, that aren't typical for a kid to go through. that I naturally reframe to something that puts me in a better mental state. I put the facts down and then I move forward. I don't get stuck. But I think the problem with that too, though, is I got so good at that sometimes anger builds up. You get angry
for no reason.
For no reason. I get angry a lot for no reason. But now I'm working on it. I still get angry for no reason. But I really am trying to reframe my thinking, and I think Tony Robbins is the best. I'm in. I drank the Kool-Aid. I think he's the best. I really do. I genuinely think he's a good person, and he has really got me back to just wanting to help people. Like I got away from it. I got greedy. Real estate made me like just chase money, and it's so bad. And it's just living here in Long Island where it's so expensive. You chase money and you're never going to be happy. But I've really started to appreciate little things more, and I've felt myself wanting to help other people again. Like I haven't felt that since I was younger. And I will say that was a strong suit as a kid that my mom always did, was she made sure I helped the community. I was like always doing Toys for Tots or food drives. Like I didn't go on vacations, not like because we didn't have money, but like because that's just what we did. And I love that I did that, but I got away from it because the fear of being broke. I just naturally chase. I'll work anything so that I don't have to ever feel this again. And then I lost sight of what's important, and then that's truly giving back. And honestly, I would have never thought that if I didn't watch Tony Robbins. He's the king of it. He feeds millions of people. He is rich, but he's not rich in the way you think. You know, he's rich in money, but he's rich in character, and he helps people. And it's something I want to do now. Like every time I'm in a real estate transaction, I'm like, if I make this much money, a portion of it, I want to do something for somebody. And I don't think I had that thought for a long time. But,
I agree.
yeah. I think we've talked a lot.
Yeah.
Well, this is The Conversation Grows. This was like a lot more than we were expecting to say. But we're going to just post this, comment below. If you have things that you and your significant other are going through, or you can relate, you know, we're going to read through the comments. Obviously, we'll probably get like 5 views. But
Or 0.
Or 0.
Who knows?
But that's not the point. This isn't just to go viral or be a YouTube star. This really is for people like us. Like, there's not enough content out there of like real couples. We're not millionaires. We're not rich. Like I literally work in 3 jobs. I'm a teacher, real estate agent. I also teach jiu-jitsu. She's a therapist. We're just trying to make it. We're trying to figure this stuff out. And the world's a little crazy right now. And I think we need to have more conversations with each other. Honest conversations. You know?
It's hard to have honest conversations.
Yes. So that's where the name came from. Where conversations grow, because every conversation we have here, our goal is just to grow better as people. That's it. And it might seem silly, but the smallest step is sometimes the better thing to focus on, because focus on too big of steps, we're never going to reach it, or we just get frustrated. And so this video is our first step. So if you like it, subscribe. You'd be our first, or don't. And that's it.
Well, thanks for being here with us.
Yes. Until next time. Or maybe not, because this might fail.